Well, Doc, you ready for this? It's your last day and day out, day in and day out forecast.
When did this happen? I didn't get the memo.
And he's heading off into blissful retirement. 21 years, and here we are.
Not too late to turn back.
Well, after 15,000 or nearly 15,000 weathercasts, you'd think I'd get it right sometimes. And I'm trying. So maybe tonight will be that night. Let's take a look at the weather. You can see that it is still warm and muggy. Dew points in the 60s today. They have been in the 70s. Just a bit drier air. Now, that doesn't mean a front moved by, but it was a little more pleasant out there this evening. Southeast winds 8 to 12, and we're back into the 90s. Why? Because that big high is still controlling our weather. And look what's happened today. Very few showers around. Again, notice if there are showers, they tend to drift around the perimeter of this high, but very few showers here in southeast Texas, as I said. And since we're under that high and there were no showers to cool us off, the temperatures were back into the 90s today. 91 degrees, but that's only 3 degrees below normal for this time of the year, and it was 90s over the entire state, except down along the beaches where it's a little cooler there. I didn't point out, but the water temperatures are at 87 degrees now. You know, that's getting close to my threshold. I might even go down there in a couple weeks and go wading in the surf. Here's the big picture. Now, the high drifted a little bit to the east. Now, when we say the high is going to stay around, we don't mean that it's just stationary, and that's what happened today. It drifted a little bit to the east today. I think it will start drifting back to the west as we go through the weekend, and there's a front to the north of it, but that's not going to help us at all. And look way down at the bottom of your screen here, a lot of clouds associated with what was at one time a tropical storm, Alma. That tropical storm moved inland over Nicaragua, and over the last 24 hours, it has been drifting towards the north. Let's put the satellite pictures in motion for the last 24 hours, and if you watch carefully, you can still see some rotation. So even though the center is inland, kind of west of Belize here now, it is drifting towards the north or the northwest. The big question, could this center move back into the southern Gulf of Mexico and pose a problem for some of us here in the western Gulf? That is a possibility, so we're going to be watching that very carefully as we go through the weekend. I don't think there's much of a chance it would affect us all the way up here. Matter of fact, what I think would happen, it would tend to drift towards the west, maybe South Texas. So back to the lower 48, and you can see the temperatures are still cool behind this system, and they're very warm ahead of it. So what's going to happen as we go through the weekend, it all depends on what happens at this high, and we think this high is going to drift to the west, which means it's going to be right over us. Not much chance for shower activity through the weekend. Temperatures in the 90s, maybe up to 95 degrees, as I'm going to show you here in a minute. And it is going to stay hot all through the weekend, but we're getting to that time of the year. So in the morning, we'll be in the 70s, low 70s. And then tomorrow afternoon, look for those temperatures to climb back into the low 90s. Might even be mid-90s as we head toward Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So it's kind of my kind of weather as we depart the scene here tonight, back into the 90s.
You got to be a happy camper for that.
Yeah.
And, you know, as all of you know, Dr. Neil Frank is retiring. This is his last night. And today, Channel 11 hosted a luncheon in his honor at the Houstonian. His wife and his children and most of his grandchildren were all there, paying tributes to him. Mayor Bill White has proclaimed this Dr. Neil Frank Day here in Houston.
Now, we got some comments from some people out there posted by Channel 11 viewers at KHOU.com. Here's what they say. Good job. You'll be missed. Enjoy your retirement and your lovely family. God bless you.
Doc, we lost our grandmother at the age of 93 in August. She was one of your biggest fans.
Oh, that's nice.
I will miss seeing you because I always had to chuckle and think of her.
And we chuckle at this one, too. Doc, you will truly be missed, even if you were wrong a few times about the weather. And I guess after, 15,000 forecasts or so, you might get one or two wrong, but I like your Hall of Fame average.
Absolutely.
Well, they could have said we're right a few times.
Well,
the glass half full. And, Doc, I know that you've been looking at the outpouring from the community on our webpage. That's got to be touching.
It is, and there's no way that I can respond to all those. They just overwhelm me, and I don't write well anyway. But I do want to express my appreciation to everybody who's taken time to write a note or send an email, and it's been overwhelming. I said earlier today, one of the good things about retirement is everybody says nice things about you, and that really isn't very true of meteorologists. They say a lot of bad things about meteorologists.
And see, you just saved yourself a lot of writer's cramp there by doing this over
That's right.
TV.
One time and it's all done.
Let's talk about a few memories. These are all bad girls. You're talking about Allison and Alicia and
right.
Katrina and Rita. Any one more memorable than the other for you?
Well, the one that's most memorable here, of course, would be Allison in 2001 because we had that tremendous flood associated with it. It was just a tropical storm, wasn't even a hurricane. Can you imagine to have that kind of flooding on top of a hurricane? So Allison has to be the big weather events that I was here, but I do remember a freeze in '89 too, when the temperature dropped down to 7 degrees and pipes froze all over town.
Must have been horrifying for you especially.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what's kind of interesting? I've been here for 24 years, now Doc 21 years, and
Right.
you know, if imagine me. I mean, this is an interesting situation. I have dealt with 2 Texas legends, and they both look the same. Check this out. You're not going to believe this, but here's Bone Phillips, and you could have landed an airplane right on top of his head, and then there's Dr. Neil, and you could have landed an airplane right on top of his head. And so I'm sitting here with two Texas legends, and Doc, it's been just absolutely incredible. And I don't know how many of you know this, but when he comes out here right before the sportscast, he has some websites. I don't know where he gets his information.
They're crazy. I can
He's
attest
talking
to
about
this.
hockey and softball.
He's talking about things that I have no idea about, but it has just been an honor and a pleasure to be with you, Doc. It really has.
I think you need to get the haircut now in honor of
Yeah, you know, I got the Texas Legends going. All my kids are going to have those haircuts when I get home. I can guarantee you that.
All right, Doc, first order of business. Today's retirement day. What's tomorrow?
Tomorrow, let's see, it's Saturday.
He's taking the
I
weekend
can tell you
off.
what's going to happen. Velma's going to have a list for you, and you're going to do this, 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 and then go hit some golf balls.
We are going to miss
We'll
you.
be keeping you around here for a little bit too, coming in for hurricanes, so it'll be good
Yes,
seeing
I
you
will.
then. And we'll see you on the golf course as well.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Doc. Hey, don't forget, watch tomorrow night for a tribute to Doc. Dr. Neil Frank, A Legacy of Trust, starts at 7:30. We'll be back.
In Houston, accurate weather information is important, and you need somebody you can trust to forecast it. And Gene Norman is that person. He has a degree from MIT and a master's degree in meteorology. Now he's using what he learned in the nation's top classrooms to make sure you get an accurate forecast every day.
For tomorrow, keep that umbrella handy.
This knowledge makes him someone I can trust to deliver my forecast, and so can you.
Gene Norman, weekdays at 5 and 6, only on 11 News.